Hey everyone, Giblets here. I am the host of Tubeloaders' new podcast. The first one is going to be a Halloween special. With me, I have my two guests, and that is Bass Lumpkins from Broken Bases, and we have Phoenix Lulz. The first half of this podcast, we're going to be talking about some horror movies and TV, and in between, I'll try and break it up a bit as well. So, with that, are there any horror movies that you guys are looking forward to that are coming up?
There's ones that have come out recently, but I've not got around to seeing.
Like which?
Yeah, same here.
I've heard really good things about Don't Breathe.
Is that the one with the guy, they break into the old guy's house, and he's blind?
Yep, I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, that one sounds really interesting, and what about you, Will?
I was hoping to see the new Blair Witch when it came out, and I missed over that, because I love the original. So I'm hoping that it can capture some of the original's pacing and feel, but who knows?
I was going to say, with that one, does it take place just after Blair Witch 1, does it? And they're kind of glossing over Blair Witch 2, aren't they? Which was
awful.
Shit.
I'm assuming that Blair Witch 2 just didn't happen. No.
Yeah. I don't even want to remember that movie. I know that a second Ouija movie is coming out, but the first one was absolutely terrible, so I don't know why another one really needed to be made, to be honest.
I'm sure enough teenagers went to see the first one to warrant this one.
I think that's a problem nowadays with horror movies. They're extremely low budget, and because they're so low budget, no matter how many people go to see it, it's seen as a success, so we get millions of them. Case in point, the Paranormal Activity movies.
Yeah, and if you can't think of anything original, fuck it, we'll do a sequel.
We'll do the same movie, but this time the camera's attached to an oscillating fan. Woo!
This time, it's in a different house.
This time, we're sponsored by Xbox. Okay.
They tried to do like a spin-off as well, didn't they? Which was, I think, a proper Steadicam movie, but it didn't do very well. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Oh, it was like the marked ones?
Oh, yeah, that one is like, I have superpowers now.
Yeah, I think it was a Latino-American setting as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Marked ones. I'm just going to pull this up now. I'm going to be Mr. Google Man.
They released it at a really awkward time as well, because I'm almost certain that came out, like, on New Year's Day.
Yep, January 1st it came out, 2014 in the UK.
Oh, God,
a bit of a weird time to release a horror film which is a spin-off to like a major franchise, but you know they probably didn't have much faith in it, so they're just like, I'll just shove it out.
I think that's something that you've always got to like watch. If a movie comes out in January, the company does not give a shit about it. Don't go watch it. Most of the time, it is just like the dead season for movies. I know that there's the new Resident Evil movie coming out to finally fucking end.
Oh man, I cannot wait. I'm so pumped.
Are you actually going to go watch it?
Oh, I'm going to watch it in theaters. I might dress up. I hate that franchise, but God, the madness is finally going to be over. I'm absolutely going to watch it.
Are you going to dress as Alice?
If I could pull it off, you know.
You definitely could, Will. You definitely could.
I don't think you could cut that outfit off of me.
I think the last Resident Evil movie I saw was the one where it's like you could tell they made it for 3D, and so watching it in 2D is painful when the scenes like Wesker throwing his glasses at the camera and you're like, but why is he doing that?
Oh, there's also when Alice goes through the glass in that one, I think,
God.
And all the glass comes towards you, and it's really slowed down.
But I think the icing on the cake was them getting to like the little prison island, and as soon as I saw Wentworth Miller as Chris Redfield, I'm like, I'm fucking done with this movie. I cannot take anything Wentworth Miller's in seriously.
Because he says every line like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm Captain Cold.
yeah, I've recently been like catching up with The Flash, and I can't stand him as a villain. He's like, hey, I'm the comic relief villain. I'm bad, but I'm also kind of good. I just hate him.
I was going to say, with that, I think I watched up to the same one as you. I'm pretty sure from the sounds of it, Will's watched all of them.
I've seen all of them in theater, okay? I'm not going to deny it.
I was too young to see the first two. The third one I snuck into when I was 13, when it had a 15 rating. That was That's the only one I watched in the cinema, I think.
I was the only one in the theater for the third and fourth movies. That should have been my clue.
The third one's what turned me off, because the first and second I quite liked, and then the third one I was like, there's just nothing happening.
It's like a really bad Mad Max. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And half of it doesn't have anything to do with zombies, really, as well. It's just them all talking, and then the occasional, oh no, I've been bit.
And then, oh no, there's zombie crows.
Oh no. Oh, Alice will fix it, don't worry.
With her magical firepower. Great.
I did see the animated one with, I think it was Leon and Jill in the airport.
Degeneration.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Leon and Claire.
Yeah. Oh, it was Claire.
I was going to say, it was Resident Evil Degeneration, wasn't it? And then there was another...
Yes.
Or Extinction. Not Extinction.
It was Degeneration and then Damnation.
Yeah, I haven't seen Damnation, but that one's supposed to be okay as well, isn't it? Like, if you're going to watch Resi movies, watch them too instead of...
Yeah.
Can't wait for Resident Evil Vape Nation.
Oh, that one's going to... Oh, no. I think, like, the movie series that I've been waiting for was the continuation of the Evil Dead reboots that just isn't happening now. Because...
Yeah, what... Oh, man.
But, yeah.
Didn't they basically bring out Ash vs. Evil Dead instead of a new movie?
Pretty much. It was like they were planning on doing 3 Evil Dead movies with the reboot cast with Jane Levi's character, I forget her name, as the main character of those ones. And then at the end of it, they were going to do a crossover with Ash's Evil Dead series and their Evil Dead series at the end. And it just didn't seem to grate well, and then they ended up making Ash vs. Evil Dead, which kind of just overrode them doing that, but I don't see why they couldn't still carry that on in a different universe.
Yeah, because the Evil Dead reboot, I thought was pretty good. Actually, I was shocked how good it was.
I went in, and that movie was a movie that made me cringe a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm usually okay with horror movies and that, but there was some scenes in that movie that made me go, I need to go to the toilet and throw up everything that's in my body right now.
Oh no.
I still have yet to see the reboot.
I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah, it with no spoilers, of course. It goes its own direction. It doesn't try to be the first movie the whole way through, and that's a very good thing.
Definitely. It's like Will said, it's very different to the original series, but it still has enough of it in for it to be an Evil Dead movie.
Ooh, and I love most of the Evil Dead movies, so I thought I'd be very protective of that.
I thought the same, but I was just holding out for that Ash cameo, and then all my friends were like, we've got to go, and I was just like, no, it's after the credits. I bet you it's after the credits. And it was.
I think one upcoming film I am excited for, I don't even know, like, because they haven't started filming it yet. Literally all that's, like, being said is it's in the plan, and the director of Evil Dead and Don't Breathe is doing a film adaptation of Dante's Inferno, which I'm
really?
given what I've seen of the Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, it should be very visceral.
I know it's based off the same thing, but is it based off the Dante's Inferno games or the actual Dante's Inferno book?
I think it's based off the original fucking, I don't know, passages or whatever.
Yeah. The poem.
Yeah, I've not read that literally. I've only played the game, but if some things were to transfer like from the game into the film, I genuinely don't know how they did it, because the game had giant Cleopatra with demon babies coming out of her nipples. Or ghost babies with hooks for hands, and they were miscarried babies, and I was just like, but why are they in hell? They didn't choose to be miscarried.
I'm kind of worried because I've just been Googling Dante's Inferno to try and find info on it, and I found one with Eric Roberts attached to star as Dante. That's kind of worrying if that is the movie, because Eric Roberts is not a good actor, to say the least.
I'm trying to see if anything new's been announced for it.
Yeah. Is it, I'm pulling up, so you said it was the writer of Evil Dead, wasn't it, which is Fede Alvarez?
Yep.
There we go, I've got his page here. Don't Breathe, that's all that's on there at the moment. But apparently he was a director on one of the From Dusk Till Dawn episodes.
Ooh, I still need to watch that.
I've watched the first series of... You watched any of it, Will?
No, none of the show.
It's very strange, because the first 3 I think it's like the first 3 episodes cover the first 20 minutes of the original movie of them robbing the liquor store and things like that and getting to the titty twister.
Oh.
But then it still covers the movie a bit, but then changes a lot in like the last few episodes. Like there's a giant labyrinth under the titty twister, which they end up in. The guy who plays the army veteran, the black guy, they meet him in the labyrinth in the TV show, which is a bit different because he's not a vampire in it. They just meet him, he gives them some stuff, and then they go on the way. If I remember right, sorry for anyone who has watched it and I might be going wrong. And Tarantino's character, he dies in the first, like, half an hour of the movie, doesn't he? He turns into a vampire, gets killed. In this one, he's still a mate.
Good old Richie.
Good old Richie, the paedophile. He's still a main character in the second series, but he is a vampire in it still.
Oh, that's really interesting. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, it's I think they've confirmed a third series now as well, but I enjoyed the first season. I definitely need to get around to watching the second, though, to see how that goes, because it did change quite a bit. Like, Selma Hayek's character, she doesn't end up dying. She's still in the second season, who goes around with Richie.
Another horror movie coming up I actually forgot about is that one done by Jordan Peele, Get Out.
Oh, God, is that the one with the guy who's in an interracial couple, and he goes to the family's house?
Yeah, like the weird white community.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a racially charged psychological thriller, I think is how they're marketing it.
Right. Yeah, I remember a lot of actors were retweeting that. I was just like, the last thing I saw Peele in was Keanu.
With that.
Which, admittedly, I did enjoy.
It did, and I loved the good old Faith scene as well. That was a great scene.
Oh, God, where they're in the van.
Yeah, but that movie definitely interests me, especially from someone who's generally a comedy writer. When you see a comedy writer doing something a lot out their element, you kind of usually get good movies, kind of like Robin Williams with that, is it 1 hour photo or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
That was so creepy. It was a bit shitty towards the end, but he was so creepy in that movie. And let me just get this pulled up. I know that The Conjuring came out this year as well. Did The Conjuring 2, did either of you see it?
No, I've not seen the first one.
I liked the first one. It kind of fell apart towards the end, but I didn't watch the second one.
I've heard that the second one...
I know they've, just released it on DVD.
Yeah, it's based on a very big ghost story that happened in the UK, if I remember.
Isn't it the Enfield haunting?
Yeah, the Enfield haunting, and it falls apart a bit at the end again by the sounds of it when I've read up on it. But the rest of it's got the good jump scares. It's quite creepy all the way through. You get more on Ed and Lorraine Warren, so it builds on it, but then again, they're bringing out another fucking Annabelle or Annabeth or whatever it's called, so...
Yeah, that's coming out summer next year, isn't it?
Why do you need 2 movies on a
Because the first Conjuring, that's all people cared about was that stupid doll. That's all anybody talked about from that movie.
And it wasn't even in it that long, the doll, was it? It was kind of a throwaway thing.
It was 5 minutes.
And there's... The Rings is coming out, which is
the
reboot of The Ring. But the first one, even the remake, the US remake of Ring, of Ringu, as they called it, that was a good horror movie, and now they're rebooting it again. I don't know how this is going to go.
Admittedly, even though I want to be hesitant because it's a reboot, there are some stuff I kind of want to see how it plays out, like the whole fucking coming out the TV in an aeroplane.
Yeah.
I saw that in the trailer. I'm like, I kind of want to watch that bit just to see how it works.
I feel like the original American Ring worked because it still felt kind of like Ringu. It still had that kind of spirit. This just looks really Hollywood, and that makes me worry that it's going to be a bit soulless, but who knows?
Yeah, and it just seems like we're getting to that point where they're starting to reboot the old movies again, because we've got a Leatherface movie in the works again. I think they're rebooting for the second time Nightmare on Elm Street as well.
Oh no, please no.
God. Yeah. Rob
Don't
Zombie's
ruin
probably
Don't ruin Daddy Craven's work.
He's gone, just leave him.
I really did not like the reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street. At first I was intrigued, so I was like, oh cool, they got fucking Jackie Earle Haley, or whoever plays Rorschach, But then I watched it, I was like, oh, this is really bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the Halloween movies. Rob Zombie remade them, and they were really bad, but somehow he still managed to make 2 of them.
Yeah.
Somehow.
People ate those up. I don't know.
Yeah, I know that. I think it was John Carpenter made the original ones, didn't he? Of Halloween.
Yes.
Recently, he's turned around and he was not a fan of them. I know that.
Yeah, there was a big drama between him and Rob Zombie that they've now squashed the beef.
Yeah, they've squashed that good old beef. But with TV shows, have either of you watched any of American Horror Story?
Not in years.
Not in years.
I've seen clips of it, but not like full episodes. It is something I am meaning to get around to watching though.
That's what makes me sad that Ant's not here, because I know he's been watching the newest series as well. And each season, and Will, you said you've watched one, I'm going to guess at least.
Yeah, I saw the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, season 3 kind of pattered for me a bit. It was still good. Season 4, the Freak Show one, I was not a fan of at all. Then there was Hotel, which was kind of absurd, but some people liked it. Season 6 is like a found footage documentary where they've now met up with the plot of the found footage documentary that they were doing it on, and the actors and the people that they were playing have met up, and they're going back to the house that the story's based on. It's kind of weird, but it works really well, and Kathy Bates' character is really, really creepy in it.
I do love Kathy Bates. That sounds like an interesting concept. I might have to check it out.
I was going to say, it's very different.
She was in Misery, right?
Yes. Yo, boy, was she ever.
Hope you don't plan on walking anytime soon.
You're not leaving anywhere. I was going to say, there's not many other horror TV shows out. There's Ash vs. Evil Dead. Have either of you watched any of Ash vs. Evil Dead?
I've seen about half of the first season.
I desperately need to see it, but I have not.
The first season's really good. I won't ruin it much, but it comes down to Ash being inept, like he always is, and causes the Deadites to show up again. And then the second season, I was going to put a clip in it. I was going to say on the podcast screen, but I can't. But there's a scene where Ash is in a morgue, and they said there's going to be this really absurd fight, and apparently this isn't it, so I'm worried about what's going to come next. But he ends up inside this dead man, like his head goes up the man's ass, and like the penis is just dangling around everywhere while he's trying to fight this thing, while his head is up its ass and his face is coming out of its stomach. And it's just like, how do you get to this point as a writer where you go, this is a good idea? But I was going to say, we're coming up to the 22-minute mark, so we can jump over to games in a minute, which I know all of us will be a lot more versed in, especially with Resident Evil 7 coming out, Allison Road.
Should we mention Walking Dead? I mean, that starts up again tonight, but that's not really horror anymore at all.
It's
just kind of drama.
I've always seen it as it's a person drama over a zombie series, but we can definitely bring it up before we do. I know, Jack, you're kind of caught up on it, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm all caught.
Are you all caught up? Are you all caught up as well, Will?
I am, shockingly.
So I'm just going to put a spoiler alert on the screen, just in case anyone isn't caught up, because we're probably going to be talking about what happened at the end of last season. But who do you guys think the squashed head is going to be?
Well, it's Glenn in the comic, and I feel like it's going to be Glenn on the show, too.
Yeah, I kind of want it to be Glenn, just so they can at least keep in the same continuity as the comic, but at the same time, they've changed so much, so it's very easy for them to not be that. Initially, I thought it may have been Eugene, but I did see an article that the guy play Abraham was interviewed, and he's like, oh yeah, Abraham and Eugene have bonded so much, and it's just like, okay, well, that probably means it's not Eugene then.
I was going to say, I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who's playing Negan, said that there's going to be more than one fatality.
Yeah, I think he said over the series, but with the fatality as well. Did either of you watch the sneak peek that came out?
No, but I did keep seeing clickbaity adverts at the side of web pages, like, accidentally revealed who died at the Comic-Con.
It kind of shortened the list.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it kind of shortened the list of who it could have been, because it cuts to a scene of Rick on the floor, and he's got blood all on the right side of his face, so we know it's someone who's on the right of Rick who dies, which I think is
right.
Glenn, Maggie, Michonne, Daryl, and someone else. I think, Abraham. So it's one of those 5. And then on top of that, Negan's getting in his face and he's talking about right-hand men. I think the clip's called Right-Hand Man. And he goes, "Oh, was that your right-hand man?" And then he goes really quiet. So I have a feeling it's either going to be Daryl, Glenn, or Abraham. Out of the 3 of them, it's got to be one of those 3.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of sways a bit more towards Abraham for me, because especially seeing as he hit him the first time, and then he's like, "Oh, you can take a hit, can't you?" And then had to go in for a second one. And Abraham's got this big fucking skull. He's like the Ron Perlman of The Walking Dead.
His handlebar mustache just took it all. But there's also a scene afterwards where I know you've read a few of the comics, haven't you, Jack?
Yeah.
Have you read any of the comics, Will?
Very little. I'm actually gonna start buying them very soon. But I think if you're gonna talk about what happens to Rick in the comic, I have heard that was spoiled.
About his good old hand. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a clip where at the end of the sneak peek, Rick gets dragged into Negan's trailer, and with it gets taken the axe that Rick uses as well. And he's like, "We're going to have a good old serious talk," or something he says. So I have a feeling that while Kirkman has put off cutting his hand off, we may end up with a handless Rick this season as well.
I was about to say, then they just need to take Carl's eye out, and I was like, "Oh no, wait, they already did that."
Oh yeah, you can get tongue fucked by one of the Whisperers.
God.
Oh, what a lovely, lovely comic. But we'll move on to games. But I had a thing planned of like little questions, and I was going to do like a little quiz. Do you guys still want to do that, even though there's only 2 of you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. It's only 5 questions for movies, and then we've got games ones afterwards. But the first one is, what snack is Tallahassee searching for in Zombieland?
Twinkies.
Twinkies, okay. So
I have not seen Zombieland.
You definitely should.
I know.
The next question is, what is the name of the motel in Psycho?
Bates Motel.
Bates.
I'll give that to Jack, as he was a bit quicker.
Nah, give it to Will. He said Bates.
No, I feel like you got it.
It's only because I watch Bates Motel.
Which mother and daughter Scream Queen duo both appeared in John Carpenter's The Fog?
Shit.
I'm throwing you for a loop on this one.
Hello?
Scream Queen, eh?
I'll give you a hint. There's a TV show with one of them in right now called Scream Queens.
Jamie Lee Curtis and her daughter?
No, you got one of them right.
That's what I was thinking Jamie Lee Curtis, but I don't know.
If no one knows the other one, I'll give you half a point for Jamie Lee Curtis. The other one was her mum, Janet Leigh, who was the woman who got murdered in Psycho.
Oh, yeah, in the shower scene.
Yeah. And then the next question is, which 1922 German vampire film starred Max Schreck in the title role?
Is it Nosferatu?
Nosferatu?
Yes, I'll give you both a point for that one.
Hey, I would not have got that if you hadn't said like German classic. I was like, shit.
And the last question,
I would have been too afraid to say it if you didn't say title role.
I'm so sorry. The last question is, which horror film was the first film ever to receive the Academy Award? It was the first film ever, so it's not just the first horror film to receive it. To receive the Academy Award for Best Makeup.
The Thing?
Nope.
Frankenstein?
Nope. I'll give you both.
The modern Prometheus? Oh,
I'll give you one guess each. Now.
I was going to give a comical answer, but I don't think I will.
You can go for it.
No, because I know it's not the answer. I just thought about throwing it out there for shits and giggles.
If neither of you know, it was American Werewolf in London. It was the first movie to ever receive an Academy Award for Best Makeup.
I'm actually...
Oh.
I'm actually wearing my American Werewolf in London t-shirt.
Well, you're a
Thought
disgrace.
I'd bring it for the occasion. my joke answer was going to be Seed of Chucky.
Oh, yeah. Definitely with this little child doll.
Yeah, Glenn and Glenda.
Oh, fantastic. With that, we'll move on to games. So I think the big games on the radar at the moment are Outlast 2 and Resident Evil 7. And I know Will is a very big fan of Resident Evil. So how are you feeling about what's come out so far for Resident Evil?
I'm really hopeful. Like, everything they release is totally in line with what I want the game to be.
Definitely.
It's a big shift going to first person, but I think it's going to be better in the end than what they have been doing, at least.
I was going to say it feels very different because it's first person, but as long as they give you the same feel that the original games do with the low amount of ammo and the terror of like the Outlast games give you, I feel like it can be very well done.
Yeah, if it's like Outlast but actually survival horror, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but recently they released that manual saving is back.
Really?
So, yeah, it looks like it won't have autosaves or checkpoints.
The question is, though, is it going to be on a typewriter? Are we going to have it back?
No, it's going to be... they showed a cassette player.
Oh,
So they're modernizing it a little bit.
Just a tad. They've just jumped a tiny bit in time.
Yeah, just a couple of decades, and we're fine.
And
Resident Evil 10, you're making mixed CDs.
waiting for it to export. Just, they'll be done soon. I know they announced recently that there was a shotgun as well, didn't they, in one of the trailers? So we know that guns are going to be a part of it.
Yeah, it looks like guns and melee weapons for a change.
Ooh, I hope we still have a knife. I'm pretty sure we do. We got an axe in the demo, didn't we?
Yes. I feel like they showed off like a little survival knife, but maybe I dreamt that. Who knows?
I know that
I should look that up.
I know that they're moving away a bit from the originals just for a bit so they can get back into the feel of it. But do you reckon that any of the original members, so I say original, like Claire, Leon, Chris, or Jill, do you reckon any of them will show up at any point?
I kind of hope that they're relegated to very small roles,
Yeah.
or maybe they'll be mentioned. A lot of people are theorizing that Ada is the voice on the phone, but I don't know. It doesn't quite sound right to me.
I agree that...
I'm glad they're introducing a new playable character, though, and moving away from that a bit. I feel like if they're going to take such a drastic change, then that's probably a good move.
It definitely is, especially... We've got this whole world built with the viruses and things like that, but there's still more to it to see what can happen, so I'm kind of looking forward to branching off but still being part of that world to see what the rest of the world's like after these viruses have come out and things like that. But with it as well, I think it's very smart what they've done with their demo, where they're making it so you've got to keep going back to the demo. You've got to keep playing it to see what else is coming in it, compared to other demos where they just drop it, then you've got to wait a few months and then the game comes out. This one, new details, small, minute ones are coming out every few weeks and months now.
Yeah. Did they ever explain what you can do with the dummy finger?
I don't know. Apparently, I remember...
I don't think so.
I think Kat said that they've introduced a hand now. Like, there's a hand for the dummy finger, but it hasn't gone any further from that. But let's have a little look. So, dummy finger... Because that was the big thing. Everyone was quite annoyed when it first came up because everyone had this dummy finger and no one could figure it out.
Yeah, somewhere in the depths of hell, there's a recording of me running around for an hour trying to figure out what the hell to do.
You just went and replayed it just to see if you could figure it out.
Yeah.
It's to increase replayability.
And then people...
I still have yet to play the demo.
It's pretty good.
I've got to play it, but I feel like after... Quite a few of the Tubeloaders have played it. I've seen a few big YouTubers play it. I know what's coming in it now at this point. So I'd rather just wait for the game to come out. But I've just done a quick Google. It doesn't look like there's anything else to the dummy finger as of yet.
And the game's coming out really soon. It's like January 27th.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. January 24th, 2017. So that's what? 3 months?
Yeah. I was like, what month is it now? I thought it was September. Oh, God, help me.
Oh, God. And the last teaser trailers came out on the 18th, so that was only about a week ago, so hopefully we'll get a bit more in the next month or so and see what we can do, but I have a feeling that they're going to try and push it towards VR a bit, and that kind of upsets me because a lot of gamers at this point in time, while they'd like to, don't have enough to play VR games.
Yeah, I mean, it's $500 for VR and the motion controls and everything. And from what I've heard, if you don't play it on the new PS4 Pro, it's just not worth it.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard there's a lot of frame rate issues and resolution issues. Wow. So we'll see.
That's kind of sad because it's nice that they're pushing it on one console because it kind of puts that rivalry again. But is it going to be an exclusive, this one, or?
I don't know, actually. I don't think so, but
no,
Sony's had a history with Resident Evil anyway.
Yeah, I've just pulled it up. It's not going to be an exclusive, but I have a feeling that they'll go down the route of PS4 will get it first or get special editions of it because, like you said, it's got full PS VR support, hasn't it?
Yes.
And Xbox One doesn't have any VR technology yet, as we know. But other than that, not many horror games are coming up. I think the only ones I can think of are Outlast 2, which comes out next year. There's Perception that I know both me and Jack are waiting on.
Yeah.
And the other one is yeah, and was the Friday the 13th game that's going to be very similar to Dead by Daylight.
That looks good. I'm hoping it's I don't know. I don't want to say a more realized Dead by Daylight.
Definitely.
Because I haven't played a whole lot of it, only with a couple other people.
I've only played a few games, and from watching the gameplay of Friday the 13th, they do something very different where the monster moves a lot slower, for one. Well, Jason moves a lot slower.
Yeah.
But on top of that, he has the ability to open his map and teleport himself to somewhere else if he wants to. Compared to Dead by Daylight, where you're just wandering around aimlessly hoping to see someone. But
oh, that's really cool.
It is, and they've got the whole of Camp Crystal Lake, though, compared to Dead by Daylight, which is a small generated map, so it's completely different every time. But that one's really cool. Like, have either of you seen any of the trailer clips where the guy opens the window to make it look like he's escaped from the window and he hides under the bed?
Oh,
yeah. I have seen that gameplay. I really liked sort of that they were going down a bit of a different route because obviously you open the window and he turned the radio on.
Yeah.
To obviously the sound will attract Jason and make him think he's there. And then he hid under the bed, but ultimately met his demise because Jason was a bit smarter than that.
It's kind of like Dead by Daylight. Did you play any of the open beta, Jack?
No, I didn't get a chance to, and then when the full game came out, I was just like, I don't know if this is worth buying.
It's very funny with how it handles it, because you get to pick to do a tutorial of either the survivors or the killer. When you play as the survivor, it's running you down what you should do in this video, and it's like there are cupboards through the game. If you need to recuperate, get in a cupboard. The monster cannot search these, so make sure to get in them. As soon as you watch the killer tutorial, it's like, don't forget to check the red cupboards. Victims will try and hide in there.
I kind of feel bad for the people who made Dead by Daylight. Just because you have this Friday the 13th game coming out, and I think it's done by a bigger studio, isn't it?
Dead by Daylight.
So they kind of had more to work with?
Dead by Daylight got released...
I know it
by Starbreeze, didn't it? I think it is, or Silver something. The ones who did Payday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Friday the 13th game. Let's pull up who's doing that, because I remember originally Friday the 13th game was... It was just a fan-made game.
Kickstarted.
Yeah, a Kickstarted fan game, and then they got basically approached and went, do you want to make this an actual game?
Oh, so it's the exact opposite of what I said. I'm just full of shit. Okay.
You are. The people who are making Friday the 13th made Breach and Clear, which... Yeah,
Never heard of it.
No.
It's like a SWAT game where you just break down doors and stuff like that. A strategy, turn-based one. And
just like Jason X.
Yeah, just like Jason X. And
Why?
System Shock's getting remade. There's been a demo out for that, I think, hasn't there?
Oh, yeah. I've been meaning to check that out.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of BioShock, and I know System Shock is basically the predecessor that gave the ideas, so it's going to be really fun to jump in and have a look at that. And other than that, like I said, looking through, the only other one that kind of tickles my fancy is Perception, which, have you heard much about Perception, Will?
I haven't. I started reading up on it when you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
But I hadn't heard of it before.
It's one me and Jack have watched. It was shown at E3 about a year or two ago. But you play as, like, this teenage girl. and she's blind, but you have to bang on the walls and stuff like that with her stick, and it creates the image of where you're going through echolocation, kind of like how Daredevil sees in the TV show and that. So
I was about to say it's like the Daredevil movie.
Yeah, it's shit Daredevil. It's child Daredevil. But
I want to say there's another horror game that's kind of similar, where you play as a blind person and you have to use noise to navigate. That's really interesting.
It is. I'm gonna Google if there's another one, because there probably is, because it's quite a.
I think it's like
person.
I think it's lurking.
I just remember with Perception you have to navigate this old rickety house. I can't remember whether it's procedurally generated or not each time you play, but I know scattered throughout the house there are these like little dolls. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but I know they've got a funny name. But they come in different varieties, so I know in like interviews and stuff they've mentioned one of them is a type that just has a machine gun on it, so it'll spray bullets if you walk into its path, which is a bit dangerous. But throughout that, there's also this like evil presence, which again I forgot the name of. It's been a while since I've looked it up, but essentially it's slowly just coming to get you, and the more you sort of tap into your abilities to see where you're going, that draws it to your location, so you do have to be a bit careful of sort of how much noise you're making to know where you're going, otherwise you're going to attract the monster.
That's such a good concept.
It definitely is. And that game was lurking that you were talking about. Well, I just pulled it up. It's on Game Jolt, so if that's free, I'm gonna guess it'd be good for anyone who does want to try a game that sounds like what we've described. I'll put a link down below. But with that as well, what you're describing, have you heard about this game that everyone suddenly started playing? It's only an alpha. I think it's called Hello Neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I know. I saw a teeny bit of it. Funhouse streamed it. I think they streamed it on Friday. I'm not even sure what the concept of the game is. I just saw a bit. They were trying to hide in a closet, and then someone found them. So is it like someone's broken into the house, and you've got to...
The concept is you've just moved in across the road, and you notice that your neighbor's kind of weird, so you break into his house to see what's going on. But the AI of the neighbor learns from what you're doing, so if he sees a door open or something like that, he'll suddenly start locking doors as he's going and things like that to make it a lot harder for you to get out or get in where he's going.
Oh, Jesus. So it's like Don't Breathe meets the second half of Disturbia.
Yes.
Pretty much.
And on top of that, it's
but with less Shia
I'd
LaBeouf.
say it's that added with the Mr. Freeze boss fight from Batman, where you do something and the AI learns from what you've done, and then you've got to figure out another way to go about your business.
Yeah, the concept actually does sound really interesting, though. I'm going to start looking into that.
I think
I'm wondering how far they're going to take it, like how large the scenario is going to be and how adaptive the AI can be.
Definitely. I'm wondering if they'll make it a story mode or not, because a few clips I've seen, it looks slightly story-ish, but then I think it's randomly generated, the house. So it's one of those, if you've got something randomly generated, sometimes it can be a bit harder to make a story of it, but I guess not if they just throw random items around the house that you've got to find. I think it may be free at the moment.
Because that kind of makes me think of another game. I forgot what it was called, but I've just found it on Steam Greenlight. It's not too promising because the last update was from, well, it's over a year ago now. But it was a game that was on Steam Greenlight called The Intruder, which was essentially your house is about to be broken into and you just need to prepare yourself. But I think they were making that procedurally generated, so you start a new game and you like quickly run to the shed to see if there's a shotgun. And I think it was mostly like, do you like stand your ground and try and like bolt all the doors, or do you make like a last ditch effort to attempt to run outside and see if there is anything out there to help you?
That sounds pretty good, but like you said,
but there's the last update was 25th of September last year, which is a bit sad because it was something I would check up on time to time.
As goes most Greenlight games nowadays. But yeah, Hello Neighbor game, it's got a free downloadable pre-alpha at the moment where you can play unedited 10 minutes of it. So I'll put a link down below to that for anyone who does want to give a look at Hello Neighbor themselves, and I'll send it over a Skype to you guys if you do want to have a look at it as well. But
Yeah.
with that, the only other game I can think about talking about, unless you guys have got any horror games you want to talk about, is Outlast 2.
Yeah, nothing's coming to my mind right now.
Yeah. What about you, Jack?
I'm trying to think. There's a bit of a drought of horror games, to be fair. Ones that do come out are really like fucking cookie cutter horror games where it's like, scary man is chasing you, run.
Yeah, so there's Outlast 2. Like I said, that's the only one I can really find on this list. But and Allison Road. We can have a little talk about Allison Road as well. But Outlast 2, I played the demo. You played the demo. You played it as well, didn't you, Will?
I did.
What did you all think?
It's a bit shit.
It was a bit shit.
I mean, it wasn't bad, but like, I got quite scared at Outlast and didn't complete it, and then with this, I was just like, because I don't normally handle jumpy things well, but I felt a bit like I was expecting too much from the demo.
I think the thing that scared me the most with it was if you suddenly moved your camera and stuff, you'd see like black shadows quickly disappear, and that kind of freaked me out a bit when I was playing. There was the big jump scares that still got me, but other than that, that's all that really stood out to me was this shadow that would follow you round. That was about it.
I did like initially when you're in sort of like the outside farmy area, you'll just see like
people.
Like random people standing there, and then when you walk towards them, they just kind of walk backwards into the shadows. Like it looks a bit culty.
I was going to say, if you look at the fences, as well, they're in the fences sometimes as well, and you go towards the fence, and they'll back away back into the grass as well.
It's funny that you said you were expecting too much from the demo. I wasn't expecting as much as the demo offered. I thought it would just be jump scares and no actual enemies, kind of like the RE7 demo.
Yeah.
And I was proven wrong.
It was... I think we got about 3 jump scares and quite a few of the little bits as well, didn't we? And...
Yeah, I wouldn't even class the well part as a jump scare because you could see it coming from a mile away.
Oh boy, I seen it coming, but it still got me.
Because it's like, there's a well, press X to investigate, and you're like, okay, something's clearly going to jump out here. Oh, a big tongue.
And... with that, there's nothing really to talk about because we don't know really where the story's going. It's feeling kind of True Detective-y, to be honest. That's about it from the first season, or Hannibal-y with some of it, but it just feels like a backwoods brutality movie as a game for now, and it's kind of hard to figure out where they're going with it.
Do we know if the... oh, sorry.
I was going to say, it looks like it'll be a bit more open compared to the first one, where obviously you're a bit restricted to an asylum, whereas they're taking it a bit like on a broader scale.
Do we know if the character from the demo is the character you're playing as in the final game, or has that not been announced yet?
I don't think it's been announced, but he doesn't have a penis if it is the case.
I mean, to be fair, for all we know, that could literally just be like the opening of the game, and then it could cut to another character, because he clearly is not in any shape to continue being alive after being murdered.
Definitely not. And with that,
so it could end up like that.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
I know you carry on.
I was going to say that could be like the first 15 minutes of the game, which is like the prologue, and then it cuts to fucking, I don't know, 20 years later, someone's discovered these tapes.
It could be, but the camera looks a bit too modern for that. But it could
1 week
happen.
later.
I'd be curious if they kept it with a protagonist with glasses. That could be a cool angle. They could do something with that.
Yeah.
It could be obnoxious as hell.
Can't wait for him to drop him 5 more times throughout the game.
Jinkies.
Have one lens come out so half your screen's just junk.
And the last game I can think of, which we talked a bit before we started this, was Allison Road, which is back in development after it got cancelled. I know that it's heavily inspired by PT, so I'm really looking forward to it. What about you guys?
I can't wait to play it and then regret playing it.
I've told this story before, but me playing PT was not a fun experience for me when I had 2 chicken shit friends who refused to take the controller and play a bit, so I had to play through the whole demo. Never again. But
I got really lucky in the sense that I don't even think I got... Or I think when I played it, I only got killed by Lisa about like 2 or 3 times. But I was mostly just bewildered going through the game because I was playing it on Skype and Brody was giving me like bullshit instructions like, oh, you've got to whisper Lisa into the mic. I'm like, but I don't want to connect my microphone.
Yeah, it was like...
I ended up just giving up right at the end because you've got to get like 3... Is it 3 baby laughs or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think whispering actually does work because I did that and that's what triggered... I thought triggered the ending. Maybe it's bullshit. I have no idea.
That's what
I only
triggered
got
it for
2.
us.
I only got 2 and then I was just like, I've been at this for about 15 minutes now. I can't be bothered.
Just look up it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I also thought the talking fetus was a little silly. A little too silly, Kojima. No.
It's Kojima, though. You can expect it from him. The strange little Japanese man he is. With that, we'll do a little wrap-up. I'll finish off with 5 other quiz questions for games, and then we'll do
Oh, God.
a little wrap-up.
Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh, yeah. Perfect horror game.
My favorite horror game.
I love it when Mario gets
Dude,
jump-scared.
that, like, ink jellyfish thing in that one level, that scared me as a child, okay?
I think everyone has a traumatizing water level in their life that made them scared of going in water in games.
Yep, the big shark from Banjo-Kazooie.
Thought someone was going to say that.
But then it turns out he was just misunderstood, so it was alright.
Right, so here's the game section. So number 1 is, what does STARS stand for in Resident Evil?
Will can
Special
answer this.
Tactics and Rescue Squad? I think it's service in the books and squad in the games.
I will give you it because you said service, and that's what was listed here, so there we go.
Oh, good.
In Silent Hill, where is the Church of Rebirth?
Go on, Will.
Oh god, Church of Rebirth.
Yeah.
In Silent Hill.
2. This one was thrown in
Lord.
because I've got questions based on who was on the podcast, but Ant dropped out, so I thought he would know this one, but...
I feel like I should know this. Oh no.
I'll give you 5 seconds.
Church of Rebirth is... Boop, 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 boop.
It was Toluca Lake.
It's not the historic... Oh, the Toluca. Okay.
Yeah. What game is
Fine.
Sorry. What game is known as Psycho Break in Japan?
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh god, I know this.
Is it like a big game over here?
It kind of was. Came out 2 years ago, I think it was.
Outlast?
Nope. It's a Japanese game.
Oh.
You got one, Will?
Oh, I can't think of what it is. I kept wanting to say Fatal Frame, but that's Project Zero.
What about you? You got another guess, Jack?
2 years ago. So it was a Japanese game.
It was a Japanese game, and it came out 2014. And it is a horror.
For The Evil Within?
Yes, Evil Within.
Yeah.
Hey.
God damn it.
Question number 4. The original Alone in the Dark game was based on which writer's stories?
Was it Lovecraft? I don't think it was.
It was Lovecraft.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And what is the name of the main character of Outlast? I will give you 1 point for his first name.
Is it Miles Lesher?
Did you just have a stroke?
I couldn't remember how it's pronounced, but
Miles?
I know his first name is Miles Leshaw.
It was Miles Upshur.
I'm pretty sure it's
I'll give
miles
you...
per hour.
it's Tails. His name's Tails. But I'll give you 1 point for that. So Jack wins with 5.5 points to Will's 3. There's no prizes.
Fuck
because...
you both. I'm never coming on another podcast.
No fucking problem. I have no prizes because I'm broke. I just build Tubeloaders. We'll put it to them. Buy yourself some sweets, a Mars bar. Sure, go for it.
Put it on the tab.
Yeah. But thank you both for coming on. I know it was a bit all over the place because it was the first podcast and we had less than I expected, but hopefully the next one will go a bit better.
Well, thanks for having me.
No problem, and thank you for staying up. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully, if you like this, there will be more Tubeloaders podcasts going on. Watch this space and we'll see what we can do next time. Bye!